So hi everyone. Some places I already know, some I know. But basically, it's my first time doing a speech in this audience, and I may say I'm a bit intimidated because normally when I go to speak in meetups, it's not this kind of audience. And seeing women, like females, only females, is a bit intimidating to me. But I know you are cool, and I already explored the field before doing the talk. So. The talk of today is cross-platform development, and I will do an intro, more or less, of what it means, and then I will jump into Flutter and Expo. A bit about me. I'm a full-stack developer with some team lead responsibilities as well here in Python 1, and spoiler. And basically, I'm very happy that the company supported us on this. So thanks again to the management for doing this. Backbone is a very small startup, so it's very cool that we are doing this. And I'm also very proud of our team because most of the girls, we are mostly girls in the team, which is very unusual. I haven't seen it more in my career, so I can say it's very unusual. What else? I'm from Cuba. Someone doesn't know me, and I love dancing, and most of all, I like pitos and things, and have a swim, and just feel the sun on me. But I'm in Austria, I'm in Vienna, and it's winter, so what can I say? So I will just jump into the agenda, and what is the agenda for today? So I would like to just give an introduction about what cross-platform development is, what are the most popular cross-platform frameworks out there. Then I will jump into a small comparison between Flutter and Expo. We'll not go into much detail because then we will take it on in the time. And then we'll just do a very short demo after 2 demos because I just wanted to do the same app with Flutter and Expo and feel the difference myself. Okay, it's a bit easy. So what cross-platform development is? So basically what it means is you have a single code base, and from that single code base you can develop and deploy in different platforms. If you have different targets in the market, then it may be a good option for the team to develop in one of these platforms or frameworks, whatever you want to call them. And basically, that will summarize what it is and what I think it has some impact in the industry, and is why most teams are adopting it, is because it's cost effective. So with a single code base, you can develop for different platforms, and you don't need separate teams, which means that you are saving a lot of resources then. It's also faster development. Of course, you don't need to develop for every single the platform, then you can really just deploy it faster to the markets, right? And the UI is consistent because it's uniform across all platforms, and it has no difference in the code base, basically. So it's not a 100% thing that you should take for granted that cross-platform will solve all your problems. This is not true. I also know that native apps are very powerful overall. So when you should pick them, when you need a multi-platform app and you need to do it in a very short period of time, or you have limited resources in the company, meaning team deadlines, budgets. So that's why most startups are adopting it, because it's the easiest way to get more customers up there. And also a very problematic thing about cross-platform frameworks is that most of them doesn't support by itself heavy platform-specific features like camera, things that you want to integrate that are very powerful in native, then it will not work just like with that performance, or maybe you need to do some tricks around. You can always integrate it. You can always do a channel with the native from cross-platform, but sometimes it's not that easy. But not the topic of this talk, for sure. So I wanted to mention just I will show them and not get into much detail. There are a few frameworks out there. I was researching. Most of them I haven't worked with them. But Barbara came to me and said, I was working with Ionic, and it's still a thing. And yes, it is. She's not here. But it's still a thing. There are a lot of companies using it as well. There is something, of course, Flutter, React Native, Expo, which is basically built on top of React Native. It's just something that makes things easier for us developers to implement, because we just don't need to leap in with navigation things and all the words around to make like React Native that's work. Then we have Kotlin multi-platform, which I read about it. I haven't used it myself, but I think it's cool. Ionic I already mentioned. There was Turmeric, I think it's called. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly, but it was from Microsoft as well. But it was, basically, they don't support that anymore, but they did on top of that, .NET Nya, which is a very cool name. Right. It's cute, it's sweet. And then we had native screen. So I will just basically jump into Flutter and X quick self. And basically, Flutter was developed by Google. We all know that Google is not known as the most reliable company when it's the only company supporting a product. They have what we call product cemetery. And the bad thing is, like, if they, for some reason, decide not to support Flutter anymore, the community is not that huge that we can still support it. So we depend a lot on the Google team and the Flutter team from them. So that's a problem to me. But hopefully they are not broken it out because we are using it ourselves. So we are praying here. And the programming language is Dart, which is an object-oriented language. And it has a lot of similarities with any object-oriented language you can think of. It's very easy to jump in and very easy to understand as well. And those are the companies that use it, and you can read it. And then we have Expo. Expo, as I said before, is just built on top of React Native. And it's just, it's by the Expo team, actually. And they just did it 1 year after React Native was released, because they thought that it was too much work to get things done. So they come up with this solution that made things more straightforward for the developers. You can use either JavaScript or TypeScript, which is really nice, because at the end of the day, I mean, I will ask the question, how many of you have a background in web development? So it's a small audience, right? And still there are people that have and from those, who use a React or knows or have seen any code made with React. So yeah. Most developers, as the background, we start with JavaScript. And if we keep doing JavaScript, at some point we will get to TypeScript. It's by default. It needs to be. And that's the thing. Then you will use a syntax JSX basically for React Native, which is very similar to React. And it's very also easy to jump in. Why I'm saying this, it will come later, but just as an intro. So Flutter is basically open source. It's free and open source. This is from the Flutter documentation itself, because I will not say it better than them. And I just wanted to mention more or less how it works. When you are in development mode, it will run in a virtual machine. And that will allow us to do a stateful hot reload and hot restart if you are in web. It's very easy. You just run Flutter run, and you just decide where you want to run the application, and you will just see it. And then in release mode, it works a bit different. Basically, it will compile into machine code. And it could be either Intel 64 ARM instructions. And if it's JavaScript, it will be either WebAssembly, they migrated, so now it's more like WebAssembly for web. And they use Skia, which make it very performable, which that's what the Flutter team does. From my experience, Flutter work is not something I would recommend for any team. I particularly think there is a lot to do from their side to make us believe production ready. And I'm talking about this because we are already using it in production, we see the pain. So this is just my opinion. Please don't take it by granted. I will more or less show why I'm saying this in a few minutes. And about React Native, I mean, it's very related to Expo. You cannot talk about Expo and not talk about React Native. It's very difficult. So I just took it also from React Native website. They are actually suggesting using Expo because it makes, at the end of the day, just provide developers this tool around, which make navigation easier to implement because it's based on routing. You just need to do the right structure, and then the navigation will work. And it's also free and open source, and it has a huge community because also the community for React Native is in there. You can use any package from the React Native packages. It will also work. And Meetup is also in great collaboration with the Expo team. So it has a great support. That's what I want to, at the end of the day, what I want to say. And okay, how it works. In the development mode, it will run into a management workflow. Basically, why is that? Because at the end of the day, it's React Native on the background for the themes, right? So they will use Expo Go, and based on how React Native builds, it will go to JavaScript core for iOS, ARMS, Wizard optimizing JavaScript engine for Android, and it also has fast refresh. So you still keep the themes you know from React. That is a skill there. It's not taking away from you. So you have also a release mode, which will compile and bundle also in a managed workflow. What this means, like it will go either to, it will create separate files depending if it's Android or iOS, and then you can use it for running your application and deploying your application at the end of the day. So I have some categories. I wanted to kind of compare Flutter and Expo based on those categories because they are important to me, and I have talked in the community, and people seem to be also interested on this. So Flutter has a philosophy that is like you write once and you run everywhere. So you can run Flutter applications in any device at the end of the day. Expo have the same as React, and React Native is like you learn once and you write everywhere. From developer to developer, you will prefer different things. So at the end of the day, this at some point also comes to a point where it's more your preference as a developer and what you feel more comfortable with. If we talk in terms of market out there, of course, Expo or React Native will be the choice because the market to get jobs is bigger, and it's something that no one can hide. It's just the truth. Both have package managers. Like from Flutter side, we have pub.dev, which has a lot of packages in there. And from Expo side, we still keep Node a package manager. And what about the community? Well, as I said before, the community for Flutter is backed up by Google. It's growing very rapidly. Like, it's really growing a lot. They do a lot of conference in a lot of countries. It's very active. They have very good documentation and tutorials. I even have a YouTube channel where you can see a lot of things there, and they are always posting something. There is also Flutter meetups almost in any country you can think of. Flutter Vienna Master 6. So if you are curious, I'm normally there, so you can also join. I'm also a member of Flutterista, which is a female Flutter community, basically. And we normally are like online, and our events are online as well. But it's also a very good community. I was in the Flutter Berlin conference, and there we met the people from Google that were working the Flutter team, and they hosted dinner for us. It was really nice to get to meet the team, and it was a great experience. It was awesome. And what about Expo? Well, you have a strong community as well. Have all the React Native developers, and this ecosystem that is growing. Because, yeah, why not? It will always grow. It's already big, and most huge companies are using it. So most startups also follow that path. Like, if huge companies are using this framework, why will not do it? Like, you also do it, and of course the developers grows, and with that it grows the packages they create, which also can mean something good and bad. I always suggest that you go to the packages and check the code that is there. If you are not still in that position because you are starting, you can ask for help to someone that is more senior to help you out understand what is going on inside the package, to see if it's really fitable for the product. Because there are crowd packages out there as well, and you don't want to pick those that are non-maintained, that do not support different platforms, or all of them if you are working with closed-programming development tools. So yeah. Finding talents is also very hard for Flutter, because it's a starting, it's very new, and it's a niche in the market, and most developers don't know it. So you perhaps will start hiring someone that knows React Native, and then if you know one, we can learn about that. It's very easy. And yeah, it requires that knowledge, which you need to learn. And from the Expo side, so it's easier to find developers. Just easier. Like, most people knows either React or, yeah, if not React Native, because a lot of companies are also using it. Language, I more or less talked about it before. Just one thing I didn't mention, that is audio-oriented and is strongly typed. It also has node safety. And to be honest, I found it very similar when I started with Flutter to TypeScript. Even to Java in some sense, because it was my first language when I did the bachelor, some time ago. And yeah, it was very familiar to me. And in syntax-wise, like Flutter, you will do it widget-based UI, which is more or less like components if you come from React Native or React. So the learning curve, as I say, is easy to learn if you already know a programming language. Otherwise, I think both have more or less the same complexity, right? So it requires Dart, and Flutter is a bit more complex for beginners. But once you master it, you can see the benefits of it. And based on Expo, you can manage the workflow and reduce complexity. So it's from my point of view, the books are great. I have used both. I like both. They just have kind of their own potentials and weaknesses at the same time. And you just need to try out and see what you can build with them. So summarizing all this part, because I don't want to be jumping in between the demo and the talk. When you will pick one cross-platform framework, it will always narrow down to the team's experience. And you will always ask questions there. Like, what is the experience of my team? What they know already? Like, how if the team will feel about it? How the team will feel by using a platform that they have never used before? And also you need to ask yourself if that adopting a new framework will slow down the productivity of the team at the end of the day. Then we have the column requirements. You need to also think if the cross-platform framework you are choosing will be tackle the features you want to tackle. And overall, I will not go into more detail in this part. It also depends on component sources and the framework's limitations. So you can pick your killer, but also you need to pick a device. So it cannot be delivered to, I want to use this and that's it. No, you need to also do some research about it and see if it's suitable for the product you want to build. Okay, enough and it's enough. It's demo time and things can go wrong. What can I say? Okay, I will try to share. I created a repo. I will share with you afterwards with a QR if you want to see it afterwards, the code and so on. I just will increase keys because it's too small. Yes. And let's perhaps go first to the README so I can give a bit of context. No puedo yo. Okay. So I created a small demo, same as the flow frameworks. A very simple one is just a countries app. You have a list of countries, you select and you see some details. Nothing fancy. I didn't want to go into too deep because then it will take way more time. But here is the README. You afterwards can take a look yourself and as per the structure. I just wanted to show a bit how it looks like. So you have in the app, which will be the navigation of your application. This is where you will set the home page and you have the layout, which will allow you to show the home, like the app bar. And then you can show the details by doing just this simple thing that you put folders with countries and then you put the ID inside and then it will just work. Of course, not out of the box. You need to do things, but it will work. And then you have components outside of it because the app should mostly contain the things for navigation. And then in your components, you have like basically classes, not functions, sorry, I'm a bit confused with Flutter now. You have your functions and basically, your components, you use them like you do with React Native if you have experience with it. If not, the documentation for React Native is very descriptive and it's very good. So I will also share it, and it's also in the README. Then I have some constants and models, nothing important. as per Flutter. In Flutter, we will have the lib folder, and there we will have more or less the same. I just wanted to keep the same structure. And then you have the screens. This would be a bit more different. And you have your details screen, and everything starts in the main method. So let's run it first, and then I will go into the code and put one side by side every single component, so we can see what the difference in syntax is. And okay, how we run the Expo app? I'm using Yarn, and you just do Yarn start, which this will do is like basically, if you go to the package JSON, you will see that you have a script here. And this script, if you go to the start, it will just run Expo start. So when you do Yarn start, it will just run this command. So what this does is like give you the Expo Go running, and then you can select which option you want. For easier to show, I just use I will just use web, and there we go. Okay. So of course you can make it responsive. Sometimes it needs a bit more of time from you to prepare it, but most of the time it works. So it's very simple. As I said, you just have a list of countries, and you can select it. And if you go to desktop, or you just have it in a card, and then you can also select it. I wanted to do an animation here, but I didn't have the time, so I'm very sorry about that. But time is a precious thing. And I will just put this a bit smaller so we can see it side by side. And I will just run the Flutter one. For Flutter, you just do Flutter run. And when this runs, you will be able to see the options you have to run. I will also use the web version for simplicity. And it will take more time. So here is stick free, and delete. I didn't really see it. I'm very sorry for the design. But it's not my strongest point. So if there's any designer or anyone that really likes its designs like me, please pick a designer and students if you don't have the skills. But anyways, I just wanted to show that more or less it's the same, except for some fonts that are not the same, and maybe the height of, if you go to desktop, I need to put it there. Okay, I'm gonna put a button and then put the highlight. So, but basically it's the same, except for some small details. It's the same components. You can do it the same without any doubt. One thing about Flutter Web, and one thing that I really don't like, is like, so basically, how it works. But at the end of the day, for Android and iOS, they both are great. Supposedly, Flutter have more performance, but it also depends on what you are using. If you are using web views, it's not the case. At least not in my experience. So, I just wanted to show that if you go here, you will have the DOM tree for Expo. But if you go to the Flutter one, you kind of have a frame there, which this means is like QA cannot test out of the box. So integration testing is a very killer point for Flutter Web. So if you want to use Flutter and you're thinking about using it also for web, even so the Flutter team says it's production ready, for me, particularly, if there is not a framework for end-to-end testing backing up the platform that you're saying you're supporting, then it's not ready. But that's my thing. You can do it, but it's a lot of work, and you need to be side by side with the QA team to help them to do it, because they need to know Flutter, and they need to know that. So either the developers do it themselves, or you train QA team so they can do it. So yeah, that's one of the killer points. I also we can inspect here directly. Is this the same? Okay. So if you see, you cannot really inspect the element itself. This element is not that element. It's if you go inside, you will have this thing here, and if you go inside, it's not the component itself. It will not triangle it. It's just the iframe there. It's awful. I know. I hate it. So yeah, you cannot test it basically. But you can do the same, for sure. Now let's try to see side by side the components. About that. Okay. That's it. I will close stop. And do you have any question? Am I going too fast? Am I talking too much? Is it boy? Mister? No. I don't want to make you sleep. I know we are firefighters. So I will just go here to the index, which is kind of a home page. And I will put a side by side with the screen, this one. And what will be the difference here? Okay, we have many queries here, this is Dart, by the way. This is Dart. I don't know for you, if you are familiar with some object-oriented programming language, you may be able to read what it does. Of course, you need to know what the classes do, but it's also very well documented. You can just go in here and see what everything the thing does, and how to use it, just by going on top of the things. And what is the difference here? So in React Native, you will use the dimension to get in this case, I want the width. And more or less is the same here. Yes, that's. If you wanted to make it responsive for Expo, you need to do a use effect. While with Flutter, that will just work out of the box. You don't need to do it, because the context will basically be the whole screen, and then they know what the size is, even if you're resizing the inspector if you are in web. Okay. And then you need to wrap everything in a sketchbook. And in there you can put the up bar. And basically, yeah. This is more or less the same thing. I even call it the same. So it's like you have the country grid or the country list, because depending is where or not. And styling. Well, this can be easier, right? This can be way easier, because here you cannot use Tailwinds, but you can use native win, which is the cousin of Tailwinds, basically. It have the same things, but it's then for React Native. You can integrate it here. So you don't need to put the size like this. You can just use something you are familiar with if you come from React. But basically, if you see the syntax, I'm kind of feel that they are pretty similar in some degree. Let's go to something more interesting. Let's go to the details. Ismo les notarmo. Let's put it side by side. And then, yeah, basically, we have here something pretty much similar as well. One difference is that in Flutter you will create classes for creating a widget. That's how they call it. And you will have components that will be stateless widgets like this one, or stateful widgets that are the ones that can change the state. And basically, you have all of them, all of these classes you see here, that seems pretty much familiar to something you will use in React, except that they are classes, not functions. And the syntax is a bit different, but the structure, if you see, is more or less they took React Native as a reference. So that's why it's a bit familiar. And you have here this single child stroke view, which will be, at the end of the day, this scroll view here. And you have your containers, which will mean more or less also be like the column and all the car itself that you have here. And then you have the info row, which you can go in there. And if you see, yeah, more or less, it's very fun. But sometimes when you write Dart, sometimes it can be shorter, but sometimes it can be too long if you compare it to Native and vice versa. So it's really interesting to see and play around with both. At least I'm always curious to play around with different tools that have that. And then, but yeah, this time will be like something you will put in the styles. I'm still at time. Okay, so icons, you have the icons plus, and here you have your components. Text is also called text. And if you see like these attributes from this class, kind of have a similar name to what you would expect also in the app. And also, if you see the attributes of every single class in here, for instance, you go to the text style, you will see font size, font width, font style. So if you can kind of understand what it will do. If you have CSS experience, it's kind of familiar, the name of this. I'm not saying it's easy to learn, but if you already have experience with something similar, it's very straightforward to understand. Also have a very good documentation that I can show as well. Unless you have questions and want to see something from here.
Love the sarcasms. Did you experience the debugging in both both application in both technologies? How are they doing it? Is it because these were fine? Is it easy?
For Flutter, it's very good. You can do it very easy. Basically, you put a debugger where, and then you go to the main file, and then you can do debug, and then you will get this thing. What you will get here is something similar to what you get in the DOM tree. and you can play around, click wherever you want. But we do want to see if it gets here. Yeah, it gets here. So basically we are there. Now we just can either go into it and see where our problem is. So it's very easy. For Expo, I have used React Native before, but I haven't used React Native in production for real. I was just exploring around, and I cannot tell. I haven't tried. So maybe next week I have an answer for you. But I hope it's not that big. I'm pretty sure it should be maintained somewhere or the other. Happen if you use Expo, as you can tell.
Using React Native without Expo. Yeah. But I'm developing only for the mobile platforms, not for the web. For mobile, you have Flipper, that's an additional tool that you need to connect, and it's also a little buggy. And they're working, I think, on a replacement for that, but it's not yet out. But it's tricky, yeah, for mobile development with React Native debugging.
Yeah,
It's your best friend.
Mobile is always a little more tricky, the debugging, unfortunately. So, yeah, that doesn't answer your question, but I will come back to Jonas Meetup for sure.
Yeah, but just curious, since you mentioned the iframes and that basically it sounded like some confidence on using Flutter, especially for production. What general strategies do you have to increase the confidence in your work with Flutter? Because it sounds like you use it regularly.
Winnie bug, a lot. But something is broken with the bug a lot. And it goes into your code and you're trying to find the error and catch it up. Sometimes you know where it comes. Also having a log system helps a lot. So, but this is a general approach normally. You should have a log system in one way or the other. But yeah, basically it's impossible through the inspector. You cannot do it. It's just not an option, basically.
Okay.
You hide there. Yeah. Any other question? No? Do you want to see more of the calls, or is it pretty good? I will share everything, so you can take your time, 5 minutes if you want to show. I will finish the presentation and then our item.
How easy is it to use like Flutter JavaScript frameworks in React Native? Yeah, if it's not necessarily part of React Native, or
Can you repeat the test?
is it easy to add JavaScript-based libraries to React Native?
Yes.
Like MEA?
Not any. It needs to be React Native supported. Like if it's a package that it is for React Native, you can use it in Expo because Expo is just built on top of it.
Yeah.
Go.
Yunet, I have maybe one question. How do you automate testing for the Dart? Is it existent?
For Flutter, yeah. There is not. I mean, there are frameworks that support iOS and Android. Mobile is testable. You can use Maestro. You can use Selenium. That's what our QAs have said. But when it comes to Flutter, there is no framework. So basically, Flutter itself have an integrated integration test itself, but it's really, you need to do it by yourself. You are on your own on this. It's impossible. You cannot see the tags of HTML, you cannot put the IDs, you cannot put classes. in the DOM tree, there is no DOM tree that you can really inspect. I mean, there is a DOM tree, but it's not a testable from QI perspective DOM tree, right? So it needs to be in there. Or you test on Android and iOS. There is no other option. It's something we are already studying ourselves, and it has been very painful.
But I mean, you talk about integration testing. What about unit testing?
Unit testing is good.
It's fine.
It's fine. Also, widget test is fine. It's easy to write. I cannot show this one because I haven't done any in this one, but I can show. I have another way. Basically, if I have I can go there. This is all. Very odd. But I had some tests there. This is just mocks and stuff. You can also mock a stuff and everything. And I have this. It's not readable. Good. It's good. Okay. I have this. Basically, you have groups. You can mock. This is a bit more easier now with some other tools, but this is 3 years old, so I haven't used it for a while. And you have your rules, and then I was using Block, which is a state management package, for this small project, and basically. It had this block test integrated. But it's more or less the same structure. If you will not do it with block itself, you can also do it with a normal test. I can then go to the Flutter documentation, and we can see the test here. Testing. And if you see, like, what we call components test here will be widget test, but it's the same, it's used for the same purpose at the end of the day, and you can write your unit test, integration test, and so on. And I think they have examples somewhere. That's what I wanted to find. This is a widget test. It will look like this. Basically, you just hang the application, meaning that, or the components that you want to test, and then you still use the expect that something will appear or not. They have a lot of functions that you can find by text, by widgets, by almost everything. You can see how it's a huge. As per Expo, I don't know. I didn't use it that much, but I think you can still use the things on React for sure. That's for sure, because I read about it. Haven't used it, but I read. And yeah. Okay, I will just go back to my button. I should have a title maybe. I hope the demo wasn't too fast. If you see me, you think, but afterwards, I would love to have it. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to show this one. I just wanted to thank you all for being here, and I hope you like the talk. At least you took something out of it. And if not, it's also okay. You can go to the repo and read it. You can also contact me on LinkedIn. I can send you the link. I could also send the presentation if you're interested in. I also put in the presentation the links to the resources and the official pages of the themes, so you can just write me. And